Mine Eyes, Part 2, Floored. He finally sauntered down to where she was sitting and plopped down onto the bar stool next to her. He didn't have much conversation for her other than, "What you doing later? You want another drink?" He knew she had nothing to do because he knew she usually sat there at the bar all night and was usually still there when he left. Sometimes he'd come back later in the same night, and she'd still be there until around 11 p.m., at which time she would leave and slither her drunk ass home. She lived just around the block and usually walked to the bar since she lived so close. After a few drinks, Black had convinced Candy to let him take her home, which really didn't take much convincing. They left the bar that night and he brought her home in his beat-up pickup truck, which was the only vehicle she ever saw him drive. He parked his truck right in front of the house she lived in and leaned over to kiss her. Candy was just bursting inside at the idea of finally having a boyfriend again. She surmised that this man was now her boyfriend, and she was swept up in the moment as he got out of the car and raced around to her side and opened the door, and then followed her to the door of the enclosed front porch. She turned to kiss him goodnight after telling him that she lived there with her mother and grandmother, so he could not come in. After hearing that, he opened the door to the front porch and they both stepped in. He somehow managed to push her down onto the floor of the porch while kissing her, and then he fucked her right there on the front porch floor. It was late, and she didn't even consider that either her mother or grandmother might get up and catch them. But that was okay, because the whole act didn't last long. It seemed like it hadn't even been 5 minutes before she snapped back into consciousness at hearing the zipper on his pants going up. She was just climbing up off the floor, and Black was already out the door of the front porch as he quietly yelled back without turning his head, "I'll see you later." And he barreled down the stairs, jumped in his truck, and sped off. What registered in her head was that her boyfriend had said he would see her later.